There are over 100,000 missing person reports filed every year in the United States alone. Most are found. Some are never seen again. This story begins with one of them, not because it is unique, but because it happens more often than most people realize. The names have been changed, the events have been combined from real trafficking investigations, survivor accounts, and documented grooming patterns. If this story feels unbelievable, that's exactly why it works. Thursday, 7:12 in the morning. Nothing about today feels important. 16-year-old Ethan rushes downstairs, grabs a piece of toast, and nearly forgets his backpack. His mother laughs. "You'd forget your head if it wasn't attached." He rolls his eyes. "Love you too." They're ordinary words, the kind families say every day without thinking. Neither of them knows they'll replay that conversation for years, because this is the last normal morning they'll ever have together. It starts with something small, a conversation after school. The older teenager introduces himself as Ryan. He's funny, confident, the kind of person everyone seems to know. He remembers Ethan's name the next day, then the day after that. Soon they're talking every afternoon. Nothing about it seems strange, and that's exactly the point. According to investigators, many traffickers don't begin with threats. They begin with trust. Ryan never asks for anything, not at first. Instead, he listens. School, friends, the arguments at home, the pressure Ethan feels to figure out his future. Everyone else seems busy giving advice. Ryan simply listens. Sometimes that's all it takes. Researchers who study grooming have found that traffickers often identify emotional needs before they ever attempt control. To Ethan, Ryan doesn't feel dangerous. He feels dependable. Things at home aren't terrible, but they aren't easy either. Money is tight. His parents work long hours. Dinner conversations grow shorter every week. No one notices Ethan spending more time away from home. After all, he's 16. Teenagers want independence. At least, that's what everyone tells themselves. Saturday feels perfect. Ryan introduces Ethan to new friends. They joke around, take pictures, talk about road trips and concerts. For the first time in months, Ethan feels like he belongs somewhere. He starts canceling plans with old friends, not because Ryan asks him to, or because he'd rather spend time with people who make him feel important. Isolation rarely begins with force. Sometimes it begins with belonging. His phone buzzes. "When are you coming home?" Ryan laughs. "You still have a curfew." Ethan shrugs. Ryan smiles. "You know, my parents trust me." It's a tiny comment, almost forgettable. But later, Ethan tells his mother he's staying at a friend's house. It's the first lie he's ever told her. Not because he has to, because he doesn't want to disappoint Ryan. Looking back, detectives will identify this as the first major shift. The moment someone else's approval became more important than his family's concern. 8:43. His phone lights up, Mom calling. He stares at the screen. Ryan notices. You don't have to answer. It's only one missed call, then another, then another. By midnight, his mother has called 23 times. She tells herself he's forgotten to charge his phone. At 1 in the morning, she starts driving around town. At sunrise, she walks into the police station, holding a photograph, trying to keep her hands from shaking. She says 4 words every parent fears. "My son is missing." The first day disappears in a blur. Questions, phone calls, friends, teachers, neighbors, everyone is asked the same thing. "When was the last time you saw Ethan?" Most answers are almost identical. "Yesterday, after school." He seemed normal. Normal. It's a word investigators hear all the time, because disappearances rarely begin with flashing warning signs. Most begin on what feels like an ordinary day. Every phone leaves a trail. Every message tells a story. Investigators discover someone Ethan has been talking to almost every day. A name. Ryan. No last name, no school records, no connection anyone can explain. The messages seem harmless. "How was your day? Need anything?" You deserve better. Nothing illegal, nothing threatening, just hundreds of tiny conversations. Looking at them one by one, they seem ordinary. Looking at them together, they tell a different story. As detectives ask more questions, small memories begin coming back. The extra time Ethan spent away from home, the sudden secrecy, the new clothes, the excuses. At the time, they seem like normal teenage behavior. Now, every memory feels different. His mother remembers seeing a car parked across the street several times. She remembers asking Ethan who kept texting him. He smiled. It's nobody. Sometimes, the biggest warning signs only become obvious after they're gone. Detective Alvarez has worked missing person cases for nearly 15 years. Something about this one feels familiar. Another teenager disappeared 6 months ago. Then another. Different neighborhoods, different schools, the same age, the same gradual withdrawal from family, the same mysterious new friend. One case can be an accident, 2 can be coincidence, 3 becomes a pattern, and patterns are where investigations begin. The break comes from somewhere unexpected, a convenience store employee. He remembers Ethan, not because anything unusual happened, but because Ryan paid for everything. Food, drinks, even a new phone charger. The clerk thought it was generous. Now, the receipt gives investigators a time. The camera gives them a face. And for the first time, Ryan is no longer invisible. The deeper investigators dig, the stranger things become. Ryan isn't Ryan. The address he gave Ethan doesn't exist. The job he claimed to have was never real. Even the photos on his social media account belonged to someone else. He didn't create a fake identity overnight. He built it carefully, patiently, long before Ethan ever met him. That's one of the most dangerous things about grooming. It often begins long before the victim realizes they've been chosen. Then, the phone rings. An anonymous caller. The voice is nervous, almost whispering. "I think I know where he is." The line goes dead. No name, no explanation, just an address. Within minutes, detectives, patrol officers, and investigators are on the road. No one speaks. Everyone knows one thing. If the information is wrong, they may lose their best chance. If it's right, someone's life could depend on what happens next. As the convoy disappears into the night, Ethan's mother sits alone beside the living room window. She doesn't know why, but for the first time in days, she can't shake the feeling that something is about to change. She quietly turns on the porch light, just in case. She leaves it on. All night. The convoy rolls into a quiet neighborhood just after midnight, not abandoned, not hidden. Children's bicycles lean against fences. Porch lights glow warm against the darkness. Detective Alvarez slows the car. This can't be right. The address belongs to a neat 2-story rental. Fresh paint, trimmed hedges, a wind chime tapping softly above the front porch. Nothing about it matches the image everyone had built in their minds. No screaming, no broken windows, just another house people drive past every day. Officers spread out. One knocks, another circles toward the backyard. The porch light clicks on. An elderly woman opens the door wearing slippers and a faded robe. She blinks at the badges. "Can I help you?" She has lived there for 12 years. Never heard of Ryan, never seen Ethan. The anonymous tip is wrong, or so it seems. As officers begin packing up, Alvarez notices something. A small security camera mounted beneath the garage. He hesitates. "Would you mind if we looked at yesterday's footage?" The woman nods. "I suppose." Inside, the living room smells of coffee and lavender. The detective watches hours of ordinary life. Mail carriers, joggers, neighbors walking dogs. Nothing. Then, a black SUV slows near the curb. Only for a few seconds. Not long enough to park. Not long enough to attract attention. Just long enough for someone inside to look toward the house. The timestamp? 8:41 p.m., 2 minutes before Ethan ignored his mother's call. The license plate is invisible, but the vehicle is. And Detective Alvarez has seen it before. He just doesn't remember where. Morning arrives. Coffee grows cold on cluttered desks. Detectives pin another photograph onto the investigation board. Another teenage boy, missing 8 months earlier. Same age, same smile, same quiet disappearance. Alvarez studies every photograph. Something nags at him, not the faces, the backgrounds. School photos, family pictures, birthday parties. Then he notices it in 3 completely unrelated photographs. The same black SUV, tiny, almost impossible to spot, across the street, parked beside a grocery store. Visible through a restaurant window, always distant, always watching. Never noticed until now. Somebody had been studying these kids, long before they vanished. For the first time, we see Ethan, not clearly, just fragments, a pair of tired eyes opening, sunlight slipping through dirty blinds, the hum of an air conditioner, a locked bedroom door. Someone slides a sandwich onto the floor outside. No voices, no faces, only footsteps retreating down a hallway. Ethan waits, counts to 50, then quietly presses his ear against the door. Nothing. He whispers, "Mom?" The room answers with silence. By itself, the SUV meant very little, but investigations aren't built on one clue. They're built on hundreds, a receipt, a timestamp, a forgotten conversation, a vehicle that appeared too many times in too many places. Detective Alvarez requested traffic cameras from every intersection near the convenience store. Thousands of hours of footage, most of it useless, until Someone noticed the SUV leaving town, not fast, not carefully, just another car blending into traffic. They followed it one camera at a time, intersection by intersection, until it disappeared outside the city, near an aging roadside motel that had been closed for renovations months earlier. Or at least, that's what the sign said. No sirens, no shouting, only radios whispering through static. Officers surrounded the property before anyone inside realized they were there. One room, then another, empty, another, empty. A fourth door, locked. An officer knocked once, no answer, twice. Silence. The battering ram struck. The door burst inward. Inside, the room was almost bare. A mattress, bottled water, a backpack leaning against the wall. Ethan looked up. For a moment, he didn't move, as if he wasn't sure the people standing in the doorway were real. One officer slowly lowered his flashlight. "You're safe now." Ethan stared for another second. Then the weight he'd been carrying finally gave way. His knees buckled before anyone could reach him. Hospitals have a strange kind of silence. Machines hum. Shoes squeak across polished floors. Nobody speaks louder than they have to. When Ethan stepped through the doorway, his mother didn't run. She froze, as if moving too quickly might make him disappear again. Then he looked at her. Really looked. The distance between them vanished. Neither one said a word. They didn't need to. Sometimes there aren't words big enough. The man Ethan knew as Ryan was gone. He disappeared hours before police arrived. Inside the motel, investigators found fake identities, disposable phones, evidence connecting him to multiple missing person investigations, but no real name. No fingerprints in any database. Whoever Ryan really was. He had spent years making sure no one could answer that question. The investigation continued. Months became years. Some arrests were made. Some victims were found. Others are still missing. Healing isn't a finish line. It doesn't arrive all at once. For Ethan, some mornings were harder than others. Certain songs, certain streets, even the sound of a text message could pull him backward. But one afternoon, he noticed something. An older stranger waiting outside the school, talking to kids, making them laugh. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe it wasn't. Ethan didn't wait to find out. He told someone, because now he understood something he hadn't before. Predators count on silence. Most missing children are found. Some return home within hours. Others take much longer, and some families are still waiting for the knock on the door that never comes. Trafficking rarely begins with chains. It often begins with attention, with kindness, with someone who seems to understand. That's what makes it so difficult to recognize. If this story made you uncomfortable, good. Awareness has stopped more grooming attempts than most people will ever know. Sometimes asking one extra question, making one phone call, or trusting the feeling that something isn't right can change the ending of someone else's story. Because every missing person poster was once an ordinary morning. Someone laughing over breakfast. Someone saying, "I'll be home later."
Don't let this be your family. Like and subscribe.
Peace.